Hi, it's Hazel, and welcome to my channel, Hazel Naka Design. Welcome to new subscribers. There have been a number of you, and I'm very grateful that you've taken the leap and hit that button. And also a warm welcome back to those of you who have been subscribers for a long time. This is actually my second attempt to do this video. And it's not because it's such a revolutionary thing or anything like that. It's just that when I began, I realized that I was having trouble convincing myself that it was an idea that was going to work, never mind convincing you. So I stopped the camera and did some more legwork. So the premise here today is that several of us I know have thrifted calendars. Number one, because sometimes the subject matter and the quality of the illustrations or photography is just so perfect. Now, I had this calendar on Vineyards, and excuse me, the only reason I picked it up is because my soon-to-be son-in-law is a wine aficionado. And I don't know whether, I kind of doubt that he's the journal kind of guy. However, I have done other craft-related decorations and projects for his wine room. So we'll see how this goes. If I decide that no, I'm not giving it, then I think it would certainly be a good choice for a scrappy journal. But let's get to it. Okay, so I will tell you what I've done, and I will tell you why I've done it. So for the most part, I did not cut down the pages at all. But you will see that there, and it's still in the process of drying, I did reinforce some of these folds, but just on the calendar side, not on the picture side. And you can see that the issue with this is that every calendar page is upside down. If it weren't for that fact, some of them could probably remain, naked. But I don't like that. So they will get covered. Now, I did say in the previous attempt to do this that obviously the covering of these pages, whether, paint, gesso, paper, whatever the method, could be done before I sew this together. But in this case, I'm choosing not to. And by using this neutral strip to reinforce the fold, I'm kind of giving myself more options in terms of what I use to cover the pages with. Let me just tell you what I'm using. So, well, this is the whole thing right here. A long time ago, I thrifted this thing. Now, I just hacked this off a while ago with scissors. And I paid $1 for it, and it looks like it's water damaged. What I believe this are those temporary blinds that you can buy. In fact, this is what the head are, but it's not sticky. Anyway, I think these are the things that you can buy, like when you move into an apartment and you haven't had a chance to buy window coverings, but want privacy and don't have a flag to hang. So this is that. So, of course, I mean, $1 for all this paper. That is just awesome in terms of the very purpose I'm using it for. Okay, so I think I mixed up. Okay, my intention is to use this as the cover. So what I did in this case was glue 2 pages together, because even though, and I didn't count for sure, there have to be at least a minimum of 12 pages here. I don't think there are more, but there could be. So 12 pages is not an unreasonable number of papers to have in a signature. However, if I'm using this sort of as a self-cover, there's going to be some strain on this. Now the outside I can reinforce later after it's sewn together. But 12 pages, these all need to be covered with something. There are these folds and pockets, sometimes bigger, sometimes, you know, wider, shallower, or wider, narrower. In this case, for my center fold, I had done this on camera, but clearly you didn't see it. I glued 2 more pages together, again, in an attempt to minimize how much bulk there would be. And I just used these flaps to make these pockets. So then as I was gluing these reinforcements in, I mixed up the pages. I thought I had a pretty, you know, attractive looking sequence of pages. And then I realized that this one, yes, it's accurate. Yes, it's part of a vineyard, but color-wise, it didn't, like I was willing to sacrifice this page just so that I'd have less bulk here, because my concern is that this is going to be pretty, you know, it's kind of gaping without even having anything in it. And I don't want to go to a 2-signature journal, because then, of course, I would need a standalone cover, which I don't want to do. I want this to be quick and easy. I want to prove to myself and to you that using a calendar is a legitimate way of doing a quick and attractive journal. So I'm not even sure. Maybe I should just do another quick run through of what we have here in terms of color. I'll put that guy there. Maybe that's better. So one of the things I did also was begin ripping off. Okay, so this cover, this outside cover, also had a fold in it. And you can, this is a previous crease, because of course I changed my mind. So what I did before I came back was I cut this off just to not have an extra bit of thickness there. On this one, I put in the notches at the top because that will be obviously a top-loading pocket. So I had also just very unceremoniously ripped off some other flaps because, again, that will reduce bulk. But I think I won't do any more of that until I have this sewn together, because frankly, it's, you know, it's one of those things that I don't need to make that decision right this minute. Oh, well, I need some clips. So all I'm going to do, it's a 1 signature thing. I'm not going to make a template or anything like that. I'm just going to attempt to, luckily, it seems like I did some pretty accurate measuring and cutting initially, so I don't have outliers. Maybe that's good enough. I'm not going to make a template, and I'm not going to measure. I'm going to eyeball. So, you know, the problem that I sometimes have, my favorite awl, I don't know if the pieces of it are in here or if I have them somewhere else waiting for me to repair them. What I liked about the thing that came apart, it was all metal, is the fact that the shaft was it was the same diameter the whole way. So, you know, my hole sizes were consistent. I'm just going to do a 3-hole pamphlet stitch. I'm going to kind of hope that that's close to the middle. I'm going to keep my fingers out of the way so as not to draw blood. And let's do roughly the same. That's probably about 1.5 inches. And I found a piece of orange waxed thread. I should keep something on my favorite needle instead of having to do this. That's fairly blunt. Instead of having to do this guessing game every time. So I have many calendars that I've thrifted, and in an effort to, reduce the amount of space that things take, as well as have more things ready to go, I have been, trimming, cutting, discarding, whatever. Now this piece of waxed thread is longer than typically. I would never well, now that I have more experience, I would never take it off the spool, or the whatever, the spool, I guess. I would just work with that little hindrance so that I could not waste. But at one point I had gotten probably a 36 pack of different colored waxed threads, and I decided that never going to use all of that up, so why don't I make a selection, like put together a bundle. Oh, these scissors. Put together a bundle, and should try to eat, well, maybe it's not worth the effort, of a variety of, include all the colors, and I think I did it in 1 yard lengths or something. And of course, tariffs happened, and how could I possibly sell that when it was made in China, blah, blah, blah. So needless to say, I'm now trying to use up those cut pieces myself. Okay, I think I will, that's probably too long. This, well, I guess maybe I'll just throw that out rather than saving it and never finding it when I need it anyway. Okay, so that is what we have so far. So again, nothing miraculous here other than the fact that I think it's a legitimate way to put together, and you'll notice that I didn't use any papers other than the calendar pages. So I'm thinking that if I want, writing space or space to decorate, it's already there in a sense. When I cover up these guys, the actual calendar. Now, I'm quite often I don't feel the need to do this, but in this case I am, just because of the bulk. Oh, I see this is 2024. So as, the spirit moves me, or as I have, encounter papers on my desk and think, okay, what am I doing with this now? I will start covering up those kinds of pages. I'll also show you what else I salvaged from the calendar. Now, calendars, typical wall calendars can be a bit challenging because they tend to be fairly have bigger pages than, we normally work with, or our preferred size. So that's why I felt that this had to be done in this format. Oh, see, there's all this wrinkling because I'm still trying to use up that glue stick that seems like it wants to be spoiled. Not be spoiled. Maybe I've gone bad, liquefied. Okay. So that takes care of that. So I'll show you what I have. Because I didn't rip off that many flaps, I don't have a great deal left to work with from the actual calendar. So I have these things. This will go away with this winter scene. This must have been the cover page, and this must have been, looks like something's missing. Or maybe this was the back. I don't know what's going on here. Whatever. So I've got these that could become pockets or something. Now that's hardly going to show up there. And then, like we so often get with calendars, there were also these thumbnails. So these could easily, well, I cut them all vertically, so I guess again, they're not going to show up very well. But suppose a person wanted a belly band. Now that would be awfully short, so that might not work as well as I think. These could be further cut down and become little journaling cards or whatever. So that's all I have to work with. And this was that flap that I cut off. So I don't know. I don't know what I'll be doing next in terms of decorating, but I do feel that this could be kind of a nice little book in the end. I would not be a bit surprised if I end up having to reinforce this spine on the outside with either a piece of fabric or, well, I would say a piece of fabric because lace doesn't quite seem to jive. So that is all I've got for you today. I hope that you are looking now at your calendars with a fresh eye. Now, the other thing I could do to avoid having to do much, to add more bulk, I could cover this up. Suppose I had something like that. Mind you, this is not, no, sorry, that isn't a good idea because that's such a deep pocket. It would be hard to probably get things in there. So I would need a wider piece of something here. Perhaps fold this back to make it a wee bit stronger and turn this into a pocket. Then I don't have to worry about doubling up, adding so much more bulk here. And I think that is all I have to show you. And again, as I said, some of these might get sacrificed. I could do this. That kills two birds with one stone. Probably have to disguise this sharp crease in there that I accidentally. Let me fold this back right now. Maybe if I fold up to this line, this will actually be straight. So now I just have to cover this bit here. Now, one thing I didn't do before I glued these two together was do anything about this. I'm half tempted to leave it that way because it lets the flipper, the viewer, know what the origin is here. Anyway, guys, I'm going to stop there. And we shall see you in the next one. Thanks so much for being here. Bye-bye.